barkeep. Who's like you have to hunt to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
All right, everybody, and welcome back once again to another wonderful episode of Totally Toonular. While he's not here tonight, he's sort of here tonight. James was out on a gig, thought he wouldn't be back. He's made it back, so he's got to set up on our YouTube stream. So thank you very much, James. And at this point, it's like, what do you call it? It's basically like we're his fucking dancing monkeys tonight. He's just gonna sit back and watch while we make him laugh. It's like the king on his throne, you know. He like pulling the strings.
We're jesters.
Yeah,
The town
entirely.
jesters.
Is that what he's
It
doing
is
right now?
entirely. It's what he's doing.
Like dance, puppets,
It's what
dance.
it is. He set it up as it's a long
It's on
form
purpose.
sort of test, is what it is. If
It was all on purpose. It was all
Yeah.
a ruse.
it's all a lie. He knew he would be home this entire time. He just didn't want to watch. He just didn't want to watch cartoons for weeks. It's like he's playing hooky while we do all the work. That's the problem. That's the problem with the world in general. But anyway, as we go around, basically, same as we do every week. Liz, what is going on in your neck of the woods?
It's been all calm since Halloween. We've had a nice little run of being chill, and you and I and Big Dan and Brandon have plans for the weekend, so
it's a
that's
Big
gonna be
Dan
fun.
date.
Ooh, I'm jealous. What are you guys doing?
It's a Big Dan date.
We're going on a 4-way date.
Adorable.
What it boils down to.
Isn't that weird?
It's really what it boils down to.
It's a dinner and a
Enviable.
movie.
That's very cute.
Quite literally, yeah. Well, for one of the other shows here on the Fantasy Shed podcast network, Eat with Your Eyes. Dan wants to do a Thanksgiving situation, so we're gonna be going to see Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I was jealous before and now I just can't take it. That's just so cool.
And then I don't know what we're doing for food, but I figure he's gonna have a fucking holster of sauces and spices. Like I haven't.
Oh, I'm sure.
When you guys went out to see your cousin, what is it, Bling Crosby? When y'all went to go see Bling Crosby, Bling's
brother.
Did he bring his sauces with him?
He did it to the pizza joint.
Oh, he didn't.
He
Okay,
didn't.
He didn't.
I'm surprised that
I'm
he did
very
not.
shocked because I figure that would be the gimmick, right? Like if you're a sauceman, you break out your sauces everywhere you go. If you're a spiceman, you
I told my cousin that we were going to a movie with Dan this weekend and gonna eat, and he was like, I'll be so jealous if he cooks y'all some food. He was like, he told me that he's gonna cook me some food sometime. I'm like, dude, I wish I could fucking cook like Dan.
So well, and I sent it to you guys because I've been well, I was sick the other day. And I was doing some cooking, and I knew we had this coming up. So I sent a little note of what I was doing with my shredded pineapple chicken in the Instant Pot.
It
Do y'all
looks so
fuck with
good.
Instant Pot at all?
I fuck with Instant Pot, Crock Pot. What do you like Crock Pot, Nicole? Like I like to just put stuff in
I'm
there. And
just
not
the
think about it
worst
again.
person in the kitchen ever. I really am. I fucked up poor Big Dan's amazing recipe when I was on Eat With Your Eyes like a month ago.
It
Oh,
looked
thank you.
good.
The photography was really kind of tricky. It really no. Let me get something straight. His recipe was delicious. I just did not put the brisket in the crock pot, Instapot, whatever it was, for as long as I should have. Anyway, this is all to say, I don't know how to use any of these things. I think it's amazing that you guys do. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
I wish.
I've been cooking low-key. I've been cooking the majority of my life.
Same.
It's a whole thing. So anyway, all of that to say that I kind of gave him a little bit of shit about the amount of salt and all of his seasonings, and the fact that I like to use multiple of his seasonings, but I have to be very ginger with it because it's so much salt, and like I don't want to. Like I retain enough water as it is. Like I can't, I don't want to die. Yeah,
I feel
like
that.
like I don't want to die. I'm trying to lose weight over here, and I can't do it. But anyway, it should be a good time. Dan, cut back a little on the
Fine.
salt. It'll be fine. He sponsors the show. Like this is how I do this. This is where I send my notes.
Yes.
I know that he listens all the time.
Thank you, Big Dan. Yes,
But
he's absolutely amazing.
But Nicole, what else? Well, I'm happy to hear that it's mellow. We do have some good stuff going on this weekend, Liz. It's going to be a good time. But Nicole, what is going on in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, things have been all right. Had some crazy things going on Long Island recently, actually. So like been on Long Island a lot recently, spending time with family. Had like some things going on that I won't get to here, but back in New York City, and it's nice, kind of back into my routine. This is kind of boring, but I'm beyond built up on laundry. I don't know if y'all ever get there where like all of a sudden you have mountains and mountains of laundry and you're like, oh my God, I'm just dedicating this week to just doing it. So that's like kind of just where I'm at. So kind of just the boring things, but it's kind of nice to get back into the boring things sometimes. You know what I mean? Just get ahead of a chore. I'm jealous
I
of you guys.
also have been doing laundry for my entire life.
Yeah, it never goes away. It's such a pain in the butt.
Never.
Well-
Try like 2 children,
Oh my
3
gosh.
stepchildren,
Oh,
and a
wow.
husband.
Oh yeah,
And-
keep a busy house.
and it is
Mhm.
non-stop. And if I miss, like I'm in a every other day routine, but if I miss that every other day routine, it's like that. It's just like it's so overwhelming where you don't even want to touch it.
Have I told you all my laundry story? Why I started doing my own wash too? All right. So I'm a kid. Like I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and Days of Thunder came out, right? Mom got me this really awesome Days of Thunder T-shirt. Okay, it was black, had lots of pinks, like hot pink,
That's
neon
pretty
green,
badass.
neon yellow. Like it
Oh,
was a
yeah.
sick as fuck shirt, right? Like I loved it, and I wore it constantly. So I had her wash it for me one time, and it came out of the laundry, came out of the dryer, and my awesome, super dope black shirt was now like this dirty, weird brown color that wasn't even, and
Oh,
portions
okay.
of it were like almost whitish. turns out she had tossed it in with a load of like undies and socks that were getting bleached.
Oh,
And it
oh
all
no.
got, and you're like, Mom, this is not Tony Scott approved
Mhm.
anymore.
It was.
Yeah, that
It did.
sucks.
It did. But then again,
Oh,
too,
man.
and maybe this is.
She
Well, I
didn't know.
mean, whatever. It happens. She does my laundry. But as a kid, I was like, can you show me? This should tell you, like, just how much I don't want to get like pissed at people. And I'll like take a step back. It takes a lot to get me to a point to where I'm just like, you can never touch my stuff again. But like I looked at her and I was like, can you show me how to do laundry? Because in my mind, I was like, if my clothes are gonna get messed up, I would rather it be me than it be her, because
Oh,
I don't want to get mad. I don't want to be
Oh, that's
pissed.
pretty cute.
She bought it. She bought
yeah.
it. She cleaned it for me. All of this stuff. I was like, I can't be angry about this, but I was upset, upset enough to learn how to do laundry.
All right. I guess that's how it goes sometimes. That's
Like,
kind of like a good lesson, I guess. I don't know.
no, it's
Nice.
really it's not like that. It's actually a huge downfall for me. Like in all reality, it's a point to where it's like, great, I'll bottle it up. Oh, that's how you're gonna show me how to do that, and then I will do it, and I will do it equally poorly, if not worse, in most cases. And then
Alrighty.
I will sit there and still like, we goddamn got to do it myself. Have no time to do it, so now I've put myself behind instead of just shrugging things off. No, I've given myself more of a burden. It's a horrible way to live your life. It's terrible. Let other people do your laundry. That's
Oh,
it. That's what I'm
I
boiling
do.
it
I
down.
do. I do that. I mean, it's like I'm like now that I'm in. I mean, Ben, at the laundromat, do people drop off their laundry for you to do?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. I don't run that kind of service. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
okay. I like do that in New York. I mean, I like don't like to do that because it's outrageously expensive for something I could just do on my own. But it's like that piled up that I'm just like,
right.
and like I do have laundry in my basement, but I don't know. What I just have too much, and I whatever dropped it off.
I heard John Brennan talk about that. Like he does that in
Yeah.
New York, or he did do that at one point, was taking his laundry somewhere to get it professionally washed. And I was like, wow, that's
Oh
a
yeah.
thing.
It in New York
Like I know dry
too.
cleaning, but just
I don't
wow,
know.
that's a
No.
thing.
You
Like just
can do
regular
it
laundry.
anywhere. You can do it like,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
It depends.
Okay.
We used to offer the service. So ultimately,
Okay.
the reason why I stopped offering the service is because I don't want to pay somebody to be at my laundromat all the time, nor do I want to spend all my time at the laundromat. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Makes
That makes a lot of
sense.
sense. Yeah.
so basically, the way those services work, unless you're doing like actual dry cleaning, uh,
Mhm.
unless you're doing actual like dry cleaning, it's basically the cost of the load, plus like 1 hour labor is what we would do, right? So if
Okay.
it's $3.50, $4 to wash your clothes for the load, and then it's what is it, like $10 an hour for the labor to do it. You round up a little bit for the dry time. That's another dollar. So you're looking at like 14, $15 a load, depending.
Okay. Yeah.
And in a place like arguably in the city, I don't know what they charge, but it could be cheaper. It could be whatever. And that's just solely based on volume, right? Like that's based on volume. There were, and I know way too much about this because when I was up there and we were staying for Shitstorm, and even at the guy's apartment, when I do my laundry there, like I pay attention to what the machines charge. The machines are able to charge less because
Yeah.
the overall water bill is less, right? The overall cost of water is less. And, the sheer volume of people, you're able to keep the price down and still make a substantial amount just because of the turnover that you're having in your customer base. So yeah.
There is laundry in my building. Sorry, yeah, I don't know if this is like boring. There is like laundry in my building and I should do it, but it's like I don't have a laundry card, so I'd be like using my roommates and then I'd feel bad like like he put money on it, and I'm like, oh, I should just order my own. Then I have to like go downstairs and like order it through like this, like, I don't know. I'm being a little bit lazy. I'm not gonna lie. I am being a bit lazy just dropping it off. Like long term, it's not a good thing because it adds up. But
But you gotta have.
that's the thing. I'm like, oh, I just gotta have. I have to have underwear. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I'm just like have other stuff to do. I'm being lazy about it. So that's my exciting thing for the week is getting ahead of my laundry.
Yeah.
That's my life.
Yeah.
Not so bad though. Clean clothes is a good thing.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I mean, listen, you never have to wash your jeans. Actually, did you know that? You guys know that? Yeah.
What?
I've heard like mixed things, all basically coming back to like your jeans are basically fine if you leave them.
It's
Like-
it's like denim maintenance, Liz. Yeah, it's denim maintenance. and trust me, again, this is another thing that I've known since back for a long time for me, back since like high school USA for me. That I've known that.
wow.
So real talk though, your denim, before we get into this wonderful cartoon, your denim doesn't need to be washed as much as you're actually washing it. So like,
So even if it's like stretch denim and it starts to lose its shape,
Oh.
yes, and
Which I feel like is denim
that's
now,
where
right?
we come in.
that's
Like we are stretch denim. I can't say it. Stretch denim people. And it like if your thighs start to lose their shape and stuff, then it starts to get wrinkly
so
and weird.
stretch is different. I'm talking like your 501s. I'm talking like you're like old
Okay.
school,
Standard.
straight up, no stretch cowboy pants. You know what I mean?
those are like the best
Okay.
jeans too. The ones that are like real ass denim.
You don't have to wash as much if you're not out like riding a range.
Okay.
You don't have to wash them. You can toss them in the dryer for like 5 or 10 minutes. Put it on like a high heat. That'll kill whatever might be in there. But actually, if you're overwashing your denim, you're doing it a disservice.
That's great to know though, because
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah,
been
yeah.
told that.
I know way too
Ever.
much about clothes and laundry.
I know someone that ran into the ocean with their jeans on and rubbed sand on it because I heard that was good for the jeans. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I thought it was a kind of cool thing to test.
I mean, but then your pants smell like
then you
salt water.
Then you smell like low tide all day. So maybe don't try that at home, kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not a good idea.
Ew.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
No.
But anyway, we're talking about less about denim and more about high school USA, right? High school USA.
They were wearing some of them were wearing some denim.
Okay, had you guys ever heard of this? Okay,
No.
good.
Yes.
Good. All right. So it was low key on my radar. I think I'd maybe seen like 1 or 2 episodes back when it was first sort of airing, right? But I'd never really like sat down and watched just all of it. I'm a massive fan of damn near everybody involved, though. I mean, it's
sure.
another brain baby of Dino Stamatopoulos, who, in my book, can do no wrong, except when he's drunkenly hosting Harmontown. Which,
I've heard.
and I know Nicole's heard some.
Old
Drinky the Crow, exactly, and it comes right out.
He lives up to the
Comes
name.
right out. And both of you were like Harmontown people, right?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the IMDb. I only know about it through you, Ben, to be honest, because you've spoken about it on here.
Got it. So Liz, you're a Harmontown kid? Good.
Big time.
Good. Because again, every time I do this, I watch a Dino show, I dip into Harmontown, like a lot. The other day I started the documentary again, and then I left it on for the dogs when I was leaving the house, because I was like, well, they need to feel better about themselves too. You know what I mean? Like they need to understand that they're also their own heroes.
Aw. Yeah, there you go.
And their own villains. And arguably they all need a dungeon master that they pull out of their audience. But all that to say this, when Dino is on the show trolling for Jeff, and then he just starts dropping like C bombs and N bombs from
Woo!
Jump Street.
Yeah.
You're like, what is going on? But there were big hints of Dino in here. One in particular was what's her name? Miss Kunstlinger. When Miss Kunstlinger,
Oh, I was like, come again? Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, whoa.
when she shows
Come
There
again.
you
Oh,
go.
pun intended.
Nice. Yes.
when she shows up and she's talking to the principal about getting pissed on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big Dino kink. That's a big Dino kink.
Oh, wow.
He tells a lot of stories about some friends of his that are heavily involved in like sort of the BDSM community. And not only that, but he would go with this one lady who had a sub, who liked to be like watched by strangers, while she humiliated him, right? So she would bring Dino along. She would bring Dino along with her, when she would go to this guy's house, and she would, piss on the guy while Dino just kind of sat in a corner drinking,
Okay.
like living his life, snorting coke in random places. Like, I love Dino Stamatopoulos. He's my hero.
The more
I
you
do
know.
too.
Wow, I didn't realize that while I was watching the show that he's into pee.
Oh yeah, you need to look him up. You really need to do like a big deep dive on who the guy is, because he's also genius. And
you can catch up with Harmontown because they have that all audio
oh
too. So she could do that real easy through like the
yeah,
podcast.
On like Spotify.
it's on
good stuff.
Spotify, it's iTunes, it's everywhere where you can find Totally Tunular. You can also
Nice.
find Harmontown.
Very nice.
So
Zing.
but for real, and it's it went for like, I think it was 2012
Years.
through 2019.
Right
Yeah,
before
right
COVID.
before. Actually, their final show, me and Derek were working on a movie in Los Angeles, and the Harmontown final show was coming up on a Monday, and I couldn't go because I was going to be on set, and it was going to go late.
Oh, bummer.
Oh.
Oh.
No bummer at all.
Oh, then good.
I was
Then
content
great.
with it because
Good.
well, hear me out.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm
no, sorry.
very content with it because I met Jeff Davis like 2 days before the final show. Jeff Brian Davis, at the drawing room. So I'd gone to the drawing room to get a couple of drinks because I knew that's where they hung out, right? Because of all these stories. And my hope was that I would either run into Dan, Dino, or Jeff. And it was karaoke night, and Jeff Brian Davis comes walking in, sang Waylon Jennings, and I about shit my pants. It was perfect.
You were like, this is perfect. Like, this is the perfect moment and the perfect
what I
time.
needed. And then the man, like, I got a hug. I got this big old, and he's not one of these like Hollywoodsy, like tap you on the back sort of things. He gives a full chest, like chest to chest, heart to heart hug. Like, it smells like a dream. Yeah. Jeff B. Davis, man, all day long.
He's funny. I've seen him on Whose Line Is It Anyway, and I like him. He's like the best when he's on that show too.
He's
so funny.
Trip.
But all these guys related to this guy who comes up with this just weird, filthy, oddball stains of shows, and my favorite. So this show's not without other people who have been sort of controversial over the course of time, particularly like T.J. Miller as the bully, right?
Right.
For sure.
And that name you recognized. I mean, sorry, the voice, I meant to say. The voice you recognized right away. I was like, oh, okay. I know that voice,
You know who I picked out even before T.J. Miller?
Who's that?
Jake Johnson. I picked out. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Quicker than anything.
You girl.
But I'm also listening. He's got another show too. Like, that's very good, and it's relatively new. And I know nobody comes here to listen to what podcasts they should be listening to. But if you haven't heard We're Here to Help with Jake and Gareth, you need to listen to We're Here to Help. Jen turned me on to it the other day. I've been hearing about it on the dollop. It is the greatest thing in the world. It's two guys who have no business giving advice to people, just giving advice to people. It's so fucking...
I'll have to check
And
that out.
they're short. They're like 30 minutes. They're like totally perfectly digestible. But if you're a Dollop fan, it's Gareth Reynolds from the Dollop, and then Jake Johnson. It's wild.
I've heard of the dollop.
Dollop's
Maybe
a
from
great
you.
show. Yeah, no. That's in my staple. I've been listening to that for like 10 years now, give or take. I've been listening to I have 4 or 5 shows that I just listened to. But anyway, so the first episode of High School USA. Now that I've told you guys everything about all the podcasts I love, that I go back and I listen to, even though it's fucking they're not making them anymore. First episode dips into something that's very, very, poignant even today, 10 years later, because this was 2013. 2013 was when it aired. 10 years later, they're still talking about bullying.
It's always been.
It is.
I guess till the end of time,
It's
unfortunately.
just always. Yeah, people are.
Yeah,
awful.
people will always be awful.
And especially teenagers.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I'm afraid of teenagers. Hell, when I was in high school, forget it.
So I don't know. For me, coming up, it was more about just like, I can't say I was particularly like bullied per se. There's
I wasn't
bullyish
either.
behavior amongst my friend group, but like, again, we talked about it with Dan. He threw that bass drum mallet at my head twice. Twice.
Oh my God. Wow.
Dan was vicious
The
back
things
in the
that
day,
happen.
though.
Him and another buddy of mine used to empty their trombone spit valves into people's butt cracks in band.
My jaw's on the floor. Unbelievable.
So how did I not know that Dan was in
Oh,
the band?
he doesn't talk about it much. He played trombone though.
Here we
he
go.
played trombone. He played, yeah, very much so. But they would empty their spit valves.
So that's where his angst came from. Now we know he was a band kid. I was a band kid, and I was a cheerleader. Believe
Oh,
that
I
or
like
not.
that for your story. I
So-
like that for you.
Isn't that
What-
weird?
I
What'd
like
you-
that, I don't know, turn of events. That's awesome.
What'd you play? What'd you play?
I
you
was
were
in
in
the
the-
drum line.
Fun. That's
Started.
cool.
Yeah, I did frontline percussion, and then I started on bottom bass and worked
Very
my way to
nice.
snare.
Wow, worked your way up to snare. My
Heck yeah! And then I got kicked out of school.
Oh,
Yeah, and ended up graduating. I was at a private Christian school that I hated, and I should have done better because I was, my grandparents were paying for me to go there to avoid the gang
Sure.
schools
oh, okay.
here in
Okay.
Davidson County, and I knew it was just my head wasn't putting all that together because I was so miserable there
Aw.
because I didn't fit
Well, you were a
into
teenager,
anything that
too.
I was doing.
Yeah.
Everybody hated
Aw.
me because they were like, "You're too goth for cheerleading, and you're too cheerleader for
Why-
band, and
Oh.
you're it's just like going all
But
over
why
the place."
did you get kicked out of school, Liz? What'd you do?
Okay. So everybody always liked to call me a witch.
Good.
Still do, and I'm not. I don't believe in anything. So I do believe in there's things around us that we're not aware of, and I believe in chaos magic, and I believe that you can pick and pull from what you want and do it however you want to do it. But I don't believe in organized religion, and I had all of these hypocritical bastard children terrorizing
my
me
gosh.
every day, and all these bastard teachers terrorizing me
Oh.
every day. And I wrote my senior thesis disproving all the plagues. and I got kicked out.
Wait, you got kicked out senior year?
I was gonna say, okay.
I did, and I had to graduate from public
What?
school.
Oh, I see.
But the sweet thing about that is that I got to graduate early, so it worked in my
That's
favor.
You were, I see.
Amazing.
So you went from, so I thought it was the other way around. You went from Christian high school to public, not the other way around.
Hmm
Okay.
And they were like, "Wow, you've already got everything. Like this curriculum was so much more advanced than public school. Let's just go ahead. Like, do you care? Do you want to walk?" I was like, "Hell no, I don't want to walk. I don't
You're
know
like, I
anybody."
just want a piece of
And,
paper. So
Yeah, get me out of here.
I wanted my paper to go on to
So
MTSU.
people
so
will
I
leave
did.
me alone. I just want this piece of paper. That's amazing. That's amazing. So to disprove the plagues, and then they kick you out. I love it. I love it. And I can just see like an 18-year-old being just so pumped to be like, you ever seen locusts rain from the sky? No, nobody has. You know why? Because they swarm. That's what that is. Dopes. Like,
You want to know why the firstborn male died? Like that's
Yep.
I can tell you. Like, but that's what happened. So I fully identify and sympathize with anyone who's going through bullying. Any child, especially,
Yeah,
who's
it
going
is really
through bullying.
sad. It's terrible. In this
Even-
episode, right, bullies, the first one, kicks it off.
even the bullies getting bullied,
Big
which I
time.
also
Right.
love because
Yeah, that I'm for. The bullies getting bullied is something I'm for. Thumbs
no,
up.
I
I am.
agree with what the guy said. Like I agree with what the guy said. It makes you no better than them at the end of the day. You got bullies getting bullied. It's you know,
I think
It's
a
a
bully
terrible
sometimes
thing.
needs to be bullied, though. That's just
Yeah.
my hot take. I'm not saying this show. But anyway,
That's-
whatever.
That's all good. That's all good. I think people should be given the tools so they can deal with their life from the beginning. Because I loved
That's
what he
fair.
said
That's fair,
about
too.
his.
Yeah. Good point.
Amen.
I loved what he said about his mother. Would you want to live with his fat mom? You know what I mean? His horrible fat mom. Do you want to deal with that? Look at how shitty his life is. It's is it any wonder he lashes out? No. I get a kick out of that though, but that's another reason why I dig sort of like these levels of humor that sort of pop in here.
Hmm
Because yeah, like the knee jerk is to be like, well, fuck a bully, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
when you really start to look at the root cause of it, it's a whole other deal, you know, it's a whole other thing. And then I love how it sets up the I cannot remember his name, but how it sets up the smoking guy as like the big bad. Who
Oh, yeah. What is his
then-
name? He's like, I'm an online troll. Oh my gosh, I can remember what he looks
Who-
like. He had those funny glasses too. Yeah, whatever his name is. I remember
who
him.
then he starts to torment it's Marsh, right? Yeah, he starts to torment Marsh's dad at the end of it. He's sitting
Vincent Kartheiser.
uh-huh.
Wow. So one of the greatest he's our age now, but one of the greatest, younger actors of that time. Mad Men and fucking
Yes.
Angel,
Yes.
like he's amazing, and him as Marsh is just
Too
perfect.
good.
They couldn't have cast that better.
And that's the other thing. Like, I'll bring it back up. I had it up earlier, but I dropped it down. There's a ton of names in here that you wouldn't necessarily associate with this. Like Alison Brie popped in for an episode, and you know that's just because of
Mhm.
Community, right? You know that's just because of the Star
Oh,
Right.
Association.
And I heard, I was so tickled to hear
Yes,
Sally Kellerman
right? Yes.
as Cassandra's mom. I was like, no way. And then I'm hearing it, and I'm like, is this Sally Kellerman back to school? Like I'm hearing her voice and the way that she pronounces things, and I was like, wow, it is.
I think the most
looked it up.
shocking voice actress was who voiced Cassandra, which do you guys know who that was? Yeah,
Yep.
that was
Dee
so.
Moore.
I just was looking at the IMDb literally like 10 minutes ago. That is so shocking.
Yeah.
So there's Mandy
She's
Moore
awesome.
is great. But you've got it goes deep. It goes even to Moon Unit Zappa. Is
Oh
in
right, I
this.
saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was Amber's
Yes,
mom.
yes.
Yeah.
Miss Lambert is Moon Unit. Um,
Zoysia
but
Mamet. Is that how you pronounce it?
Chelsea Peretti, Natasha Leggero, Anders Holm from Workaholics.
Oh,
Anders is in here. Yeah, there's. Jillian Bell from Workaholics is in here too. And arguably one of my favorites, which was Rum Spring Breakers.
oh my God, yeah. Arguably one of the best episodes for sure.
So,
Hmm.
like, and Liz, you're from here, so you get it. You got Mennonites. Do you got Amish or Mennonites or anything close up there, Nicole?
You got Mennonites. It sounds like I've got some kind of pest in the house. You got
y'all,
Mennonites?
y'all got the Amish, the Mennonites. It's okay. They'll never hear it. They don't believe in the technology.
Yeah, they're not listening to this.
It's
Wow,
But do
wow.
you have anybody like that up there, Nicole? Do you guys? I know there's a large Amish community in like PA.
I was gonna say, so I used to go to Hershey Park, like Hershey, Pennsylvania, a lot in the summers, and like, believe it or not, now that I think about it, maybe they were on Rumspringa. I would see them at the park, at like the amusement park. Sure. But whatever. Regardless, like I guess there was Amish country nearby, so sometimes they would pop in Hershey Park. That was the
So
only time I would encounter them.
yeah, so there's a whole thing, and it's similar down here with like the Mennonites. It's everything is bad just as long as you own it, right? If
Oh,
I'm a Mennonite and then I have zippers on my clothes, then I'm a terrible person. But if you have it, it's okay. If I
oh,
have a car and I'm a Mennonite, I'm gonna burn in hell. But you have a car, can you give me a ride?
oh.
Can you
So that was
you see
kind
what I'm
of
saying?
okay. So they would go to an amusement park and just like, okay, well, this ride doesn't belong to me. Okay,
Or
okay,
yeah, or
Right.
they would take their kids there and be like, all the English are burning, and like you can go down the slide one time, but it's 10 years worth of like prayers they have to do on the farm.
Hershey
Like
had like a zoo, and I particularly remember seeing them there. So I wonder if that was also there. You know what I mean? Like they would just show their children the animals. Like I don't know. I wonder if that was kind of just, but that could just be my memory, whatever being here.
so
But yeah.
it is a weird sort of thing that you'll see like some parents do, because English world it exists and it's a thing that everybody has to interact with. Um,
Mm,
which
fair
is
enough.
which is really kind of funny because my mom, we used to go up because there's a big Mennonite population right once you cross the Kentucky
Okay.
border. There's a big Mennonite
Oh
country
yeah,
up
you
there.
Hmm.
guys are really close. Yeah. Right.
And what we would do is like we would go, what is it, vegetable shopping up there, and then the craftsmanship is impeccable. Like it's
Mm,
amazing
I've
craftsmanship.
heard.
So mom would get, she got some deck furniture one year, right? Buys one from the Mennonites, buys a chair, and then buys a like a little standing porch swing. We didn't want the one that hung down. You got the one that sat level and then still rocked. You know what I mean? It sat on the floor and still rocked. We got one of those swings. Anyway, she takes both of those to the high school because my mother was a geometry teacher and she knew the shop teacher really, really well. So she took both of those to the shop teacher. And then for that year, his shop students deconstructed the Amish bench and made her two more, right? So that was the school's project. That was the
Huh.
wood shop's project, was to deconstruct these, see how the Amish made it, and then have the class for the upperclassmen. I think it was the juniors and seniors in wood shop, have them not only copy the pattern but build two additional ones and then put the original back together again. So it's yeah, she got out of it, but she bought the materials, and then the shop teacher was like, I don't have to come up with a lesson plan, Gail, thank you. Like And only in like small towns can you really like finesse those kind of relationships. But yeah, those are still on the deck at Dad's house. Yeah,
Nice. Oh,
La-
cool.
lasted 30 some odd years, man.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Mennonites make good stuff. Uh, but
They make a great
oh my god,
sandwich
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Oh man, there's a Mennonite store, general store, southwest of us, and right outside of Waverly.
okay,
And if I'm ever traveling through that way, I'll stop. And there's a deli, and like it's just like going up on the Kentucky border where they have the stores where you can go and get the jams and shit and all that stuff. Like it's
yeah.
amazing.
I fucks with some Mennonites. I'm not even gonna pretend I don't. I
Oh yeah.
absolutely do. Um, so Rum Spring Breakers was really good. What sort of stood out as far as episodes go for y'all?
Oh my God, I just watched it. Oh, the one where they had to like go back to the 90s for a night and they're like and then it turns out, sorry, spoiler alert for the listeners, but it turns out that their teacher was like trying to murder them and like chasing them around like wearing a mask. That was just a very chaotic and funny episode. That one might have been my favorite. There were all good ones though. Yeah, what'd you guys think of that one? Or the
That
Yeah,
was a trip.
very, very, very good.
That was towards the end, the latter episodes, like the
Yes.
last few,
Yeah,
if I recall. Yeah. That was pretty
Yeah.
I
good.
liked it. It was funny how they thought the phone in their house was recording them because they just like have no idea how that type of technology works. That was a fun one. Um, the episode where Blackstein joins the gay club but isn't gay. It's also funny.
So that's definitely that's my number one because it's all ultimately about
Yes.
Adderall.
Adderall.
And I am an ADHDer and I am an Adderall queen. Like once I got diagnosed and figured out what the hell was wrong with me, like I don't think I would survive without a half of Adderall every morning. Like I don't think I could do my work and fully be on it. And to know that that's what he was gonna take to make himself gay, like, I was just dying because I'd never seen that episode. But the
So
little kid, Cassandra or whoever,
Oh,
not
right.
Cassandra,
She's funny.
the little dealer. And he's like, I put him under my. I'm supposed to take him too, but I put him under my tongue.
I put them
Right.
under my tongue and then I spit them back out. And they're like, do you want it? And it's like, I've done that before with like, even like with Tylenols and shit. You put it under your tongue and then you're like, oh, why does this feel weird? And then you take it out and the coating's all fucked up and everything
Oh,
is
right.
gross where it starts to dissolve. I can just imagine him taking that
Yeah.
little spit up fucking pill. Like, bleh.
Gross.
I've tried to swallow pills dry and that happens. I don't know, like usually when I have to take pills, I have to have water with it. And yeah, like that same sort of thing you described, Ben. If I swallow it dry and then it like doesn't, whatever, sorry, not TMI, but yes. Yes. And I'm like, oh fuck, this is so weird. But yeah, and I like the guy who like is the head of the gay club and he's like, those women are not dressed stylishly. Why are you looking at them?
Yes.
That's good.
I don't know. I thought that one. I thought it was great. It's also a weird sort of like a weird sort of kismet because again, this sparked a Harmontown sort of resurgence for me too. Like I'd mentioned before, and literally after watching, I think half of this series, put on Harmontown, and what is this second episode that came on when I was just kind of so I put one on and I would let it play through because I was doing some knitting, and the second episode that comes on is the one where Dan gets a prescription for Adderall and he doesn't tell Aaron about it, who he had just married at the time. They just gotten married. This is like maybe the second or third episode back. from the wedding. And literally, Spencer, the dungeon master, comes out and he's in a bad mood. He's angry at everything. And then when they bring out everybody for D&D, Spencer's like, yeah, and Dan just got a prescription too, didn't you? Didn't you? Oh, you don't want to talk about that? But you just got a prescription. And fucking sure as shit, Spencer outs Dan about his new Adderall prescription and then has to backpedal because Aaron's there. And Dan had not told Aaron at this point, and she's like, well, don't you think maybe a wife should know if you're getting, these medications? What if something goes wrong? What if there's a problem? What if something happens? And then Spencer's like, no, it's not like, a drug problem. It's, he needs it. He needs it. He works. You've seen how he works. He needs it. It's one of the greatest exchanges I have ever seen in my life. And then you begin to see the downfall in Dan and Aaron's relationship, I think. At that point.
That's funny.
It's exceptional. Like, again, a beautiful show. A beautiful, beautiful show.
What episode stood out to you guys of High School USA? Liz in bed with
The Choices episode.
Oh, that one got heavy.
Like to killed me.
Poor Amber.
To make it all the way to the end, and she had the hysterical pregnancy.
Loved that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And the protesters.
Oh, they're getting ready
like,
to wrap up for
I'm
the day.
not closing up.
Guys, we're back at it again. We're going back to it. We're back to it. Oh, and then protest. Nobody's getting out early that day. It's little gags like that I find exceptional throughout. Like absolutely throughout.
And I don't think any of that could survive in 2023 except for like Trey Parker can survive in that type of humor because he's got such a huge fan base.
Who's that?
But Trey Parker.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, it's funny how they're like the only ones really, but yes.
Yeah, but everything else, you get canceled in a heartbeat.
It's starting new. I don't think a guy. There's some folks like, and the problem becomes art and artist, and we've talked a lot about it. With like John Kay and Ren and Stimpy, and all of that fun stuff. Who again, not to keep name dropping, but Reeves Elliott really loved to defend John Kay.
Oh my God, poor Reeves!
To defend
in so many ways. No, he does. He really does.
This is the worst bit on this show. It makes me so sad.
It's his favorite thing to do is to defend John Kay, like repeatedly. It's what Reeves does. It's his whole thing.
Reeves?
It's his favorite thing to do.
I love Reeves, but John Kay is terrible.
I say he's indefensible too. I don't know what the problem is.
But he created some of the best cartoons of any time.
That's what
David Bowie was a terrible human being in his younger years.
What did he do? I didn't know he was a terrible human.
14-year-olds,
had relations with a 14-year-old child.
David Bowie?
14-year-old.
Yeah.
That was passed around between the musicians.
How the hell did I not know
at
that?
The time.
That's terrible.
But he didn't gloat about that, and I think he kind of redeemed himself somewhat towards the end.
Because he likes black girls.
He's my favorite.
Sorry.
He's my favorite.
At least he's not racist. Is that what you're saying?
I was just talking to Brandon about all that because, like, Susie wore a swastika on stage.
Oh my God.
So did Bubba. People did things that were just
fucked up,
abominable. And you come to the mindset now, like we didn't have, or I'm sure they didn't have people telling them, hey, you know what, this is really fucked up.
Right.
And this could really upset and hurt some people. They were just like, go ahead, Dave Bowie, do whatever the hell you want while you're on cocaine. Do whatever you want. So we have that empathy now. We have parents that are teaching their children right from wrong. Thank God. So it's I can look at people from that time and be able to separate, just depending on the degree of what they did, separate the art from the artist.
It's And you have to. I think that's the. I always think that's the biggest thing is that you do have to separate art from artist, right? And that's why.
Right. Or you won't have any
No,
more
you
art.
you won't have anything. You can enjoy nothing in the world. You can enjoy
Mhm.
nothing. Great Balls of Fire is used in like practically every movie or was for forever. And what Jerry Lee Lewis do? Bang his 13-year-old cousin.
His 12-year-old cousin married her when
Why
she
do
was
so
13.
many musicians do things like that? Why is this like
Look at Elvis and
Elvis, yeah,
Priscilla.
Priscilla
You
was
know,
What?
it,
Like,
everything's terrible.
what is going
Everyone
on? Or
was
what
terrible.
happened? Because it's not going to happen.
No, it definitely is still going
That's
on
true. I guess that's
now.
naive of me to say that it wouldn't occur to me.
Because
Mhm. It's
because
sad.
who's that
Right.
guy? Who's the one guy? Fuck, he's from some like new metal band that like literally it was a baby. He took somebody's baby and was
How- Oh,
That's
that
so
I don't
sad. I
know.
don't know.
Jesus.
Yes.
I was gonna say Howard from Kill Switch Engage. I do know that.
I
That was
want
a rough time.
so yeah, there's this new metal guy. I want to say it's like David something. I'm gonna look it up so I don't misname them. But anyway, no, to think that it doesn't happen
Is
any
naive of me. Yeah, that's not fair. But like at least there's the internet to like I feel like Liz is going based on what you're saying. Like, okay, like as much as like to the other extent, I think cancel culture could be a detriment to shows like this. On the other hand, at least like there's the internet to hold people fucking accountable. Like, you know what I mean? Like the internet will like
Exactly.
call people to F out.
There's the internet, and there's just decent people that will, hold people,
Yeah.
people of celebrity stature
Yeah.
accountable. And I think most people, if they're smart and they have some sort of a soul,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
something, that they understand that most people out like within our say 10-year span
Mhm.
age range between
Yeah.
all of us, we're able to differentiate, and we're able to be like, wow, that was really fucked up, but that was a really fucked up time, and nobody was telling so and so this was really fucked up. On the other hand, stuff like John Kay, stuff like that, that's when I
Oh,
can't excuse
absolutely.
it,
yeah,
I
you
totally in
can't.
agreement. Totally in agreement.
But the other thing
right?
there is though.
That's when I'm like, the show shouldn't be canceled, but his ass is
So
canceled.
and there's a huge thing there too, where it comes down to like, and I know this is gonna sound terrible when I use the word actual here, right? Because everybody who feels
Right?
they're a victim should be treated as a victim. But just because you see a thing doesn't mean that you have been actually victimized. And that I'm sorry. I will stand by that though. Oh, you saw a thing you didn't like
I
and you
agree.
didn't look away. Well, I guess you did that to yourself, huh? Not to be heartless about it. However, a guy like John Kay is actively victimizing youth, right? By imposing will, by imposing action, by doing the rest of this stuff. Whereas in a show, whereas with a piece of art, whereas with any of that, it's put on display for the public to consume as they can and as they should or as they choose to, right? So if you keep looking at a thing that makes you unhappy, regardless of what that thing is, the onus is on you to fucking look away. It's right. I
Right.
mean, it's the same thing with it's the same thing we tell parents when they're like, "Well, I don't like the song on the radio." Well, bitch, there's that's
There's a power
There's a
you know,
button.
dial.
Yeah.
move. Yeah,
Click it.
move. It's the whole thing. It's like I don't have to sit and watch religious programming if
Right.
it makes me upset. I
Right.
don't have to sit and watch, any of this stuff.
Um,
So anyway, that's where I feel. And the guy's name is Ian Watkins from
Okay.
Lost Prophets,
Okay.
is who I was talking about.
Gotcha.
I don't know who that
Yeah,
is.
so he's some new metal guy. Uh,
I bet Brandon would
yeah,
know.
ask him if he's familiar because holy fuck. This guy he was grooming people, not only like teens in his crowd, but then he found somebody who had just had like literally just had a baby. And we're talking like a 1-year-old that the guy abused and was found guilty of.
That's so
Holy
sad. Oh my
shit.
god, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fucking horrible.
Well, there's terrible people in this world, but my
Yeah,
whole point
yeah.
is that at least with David Bowie and Elvis and these guys, it was 13, 14, and it just seems to keep getting younger and younger.
Oh god.
It's
It's
sickening.
terrible.
There was some, I can't think of his name, but there was some horror punk vocalist recently where all that came out, where he had like child pornography on his computer and shit. And it's just, and it was somebody like, people were just like it. So this is
Yeah.
like you never know. Like
Yeah,
you
you're
think
right.
you know what somebody would look like if they were evil,
Yeah, you're right.
Like you think you would know. You don't.
It's ridiculously like brazen.
Mhm.
It's crazy, and it actually arguably I think like the more light gets, it's a weird sort of dichotomy, right? It's this weird kind of catch-22. The more light that gets pushed on these things, a lot of times I feel that drives it further back into the underground, because it never ceases. You're never really like stopping anything. You
Mhm.
might think,
You're just making the monster hide.
and I think like there is a point to where, yeah, if we catch someone actively and it becomes a headline, that's awesome, tremendous, great, let people know. I was watching prisoner TikTok earlier today. I like
Oh.
watching dudes that have been in jail tell you jail stories.
That's actually
Prisoner
pretty
TikTok.
interesting. Yeah, that sounds like an interesting area of
Yeah.
TikTok.
It's exceptional. So
There's a market for
there was a
everything.
dude though who was talking about prison politics, right?
Oh
And
boy.
he was sort of higher up in the echelon as far as that goes, and the COs, the correction officers, gave him a new cellmate, and for the first like 4 or 5 days, nobody would tell him what was going on with this guy. And because he's in prison and he's in prison politics, what you end up having to do, and it's a horrible association, but it's what you have to do to get by. So like white people here, black guys here, Muslims over there, like everybody sorts themselves out by race, by gang. And his new cellie was white. So he was like, so I went to commissary. I got him, $100 worth of stuff, man. Guy gave him new shoes, right off my feet, all this stuff, like good white people do for each other. And you're like, oh, goddamn, I don't know if I can get on board with this guy.
Woo!
Don't know if I can get on board with this guy yet. Then he goes on to say, one night I'm sitting there watching TV because I got cell access with a TV. And he goes, there was some Victoria's Secret show on. And I was like sitting there in my bunk like, hell yeah. And I kept pointing it out to this guy. And he's like, he's sitting there just reading a book. And I'm like, you're going to come watch this with me. He goes, he watched it from one commercial to the start of the next one. And then he went back to reading his damn book. I was like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He goes, next day I'm out in the yard. And they're like, oh yeah, dude, that guy's into kids. And he's like, well, now I'm going back to my cell. And I know what I have to do. He goes, I have to kill this man. And I was like, oh, fuck. This is where it gets good. Like you're not on board with the white supremacy stuff. And then it's all of a sudden now we've jumped to a level to where it's like, now we're going to kill this guy who's been, torturing kids. So like I felt very conflicted for a minute. Then it turns out he goes back to the cell. He takes all of his stuff back, right? Takes all of his stuff back, his new shoes. Like, this is my shit now. My shit now. Guy comes back in, and then he ends up beating him. He doesn't actually kill him. Day later, like and I neglected to mention, I should have mentioned this. He was coming up. He was, even though he'd been there for a minute, he was still just a tourist. He wasn't doing like a life detail or nothing, right? So people just really kind of liked him. And what ended up happening, though, is the COs pull him into the office. And they're like, you want to tell us about what happened the other day? And he starts to explain what was going on. You knew who he was when you put him in with me. You knew what I would have to do. Why would you do that to me? You know, what's your problem? You know, I'm not here for a long time. And they're like, oh, well, I had $20 saying you'd kill him. Is what the COs were doing. They were betting on this guy and what he would end up doing. And he's like, my life ain't worth his, regardless of what he's done. So yeah, I beat the hell out of him, added a few months to his sentence, nothing crazy, and he's out now. But he was like, literally, those guards were betting on his life, on other charges.
Wow.
Just to see what he would do. That's fucked up. That's the system.
How does this
is fucked.
How does this how do we get from High School USA to here?
Diddling kids, art and artists.
To prison TikTok.
Cause I guess like I was originally watching the show and thinking like, wow, there are some things in here that would never fly if this was made in 2023. Now I'm like, all right, compared to all the shit we've been talking about, nothing's really that bad. Like,
No.
like there's some
High School USA can't be any worse than prison
No.
TikTok.
right, yeah, like there's degrees.
Y'all should really look up some prisoner TikTok though. It's fucking amazing. It is a
I shall.
party.
I definitely will.
It is a party.
I think that this show. So something that I find interesting is that this was made significantly before Riverdale, and Riverdale has had. I mean, as like polarizing as that show is, because it is kind of ridiculous. Have you guys watched Riverdale at all?
I tried to because I love Madkin. I can't say her name.
Oh, I
Madkin
love her
Amick.
over Twin Peaks.
Amick.
Yes.
So I love her. Obviously.
I
Oh,
like.
really? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
I mean,
both
I
in
love
Riverdale
her.
and on. Yes, and she's such a good
But
actor.
I made it through the first episode and half of the second one, and I just wanted to jump off.
It's terrible. Like it's
bridge.
like I find it addicting because it's so, like, you know what I mean, like that kind of. But anyway, but like I feel like with the success of Riverdale, I would love for like another Archie thing, like High School USA, to have a revival. I know it's not going to happen. Based on what we talked about, like they just don't have the financing. Probably aren't going to get the financing, but like I feel like there would be life for it in this era.
For sure.
I mean, it all sort of depends. Like if it's done well and done right, sure. But I think I did the same. I may have watched like half of an episode of Riverdale because people were talking about it, and then I just didn't care. But like the thing with like Archie stuff is this is about as modern as you can get with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and didn't like Riverdale moderns it up a lot, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like barely Archie too. Like it's really like this felt
It's just
more
names.
true in a way, which is funny to Archie. I guess because of the animation style.
Right. It's because of
Yeah.
the art. It's
Yeah.
it's the straight up parody in the art. That makes it feel a lot more or it lends itself easier and better to the notion of like 50s and the notion of like
Yeah.
Americana being what's the word I'm looking for? Ever present, right? Like every generation can be an Archie generation if done well, I think.
I just want to know what was going through his head when he was like, you know what, we're gonna do this high school parody of Archie
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
comics, but we're gonna make it ridiculous. Like we're gonna make this humor just
We're gonna make it
outrageous.
weird and horny. I loved it when all the kids were taking pictures of their dicks and sending it to each other.
Oh, that episode was so funny.
And Marsha's little tiny one.
The
And there was another kid with a little tiny one. I was dying at
During the closing
pixels
credits.
because there was like one where the pixels were
It
like
was in-
bent.
it was like a giant L, like a weird L.
So good.
And I thought there was a very interesting moment in that one too, where Marsha's sitting in the back seat, and the two girls are there, and they're like, "We'll watch," and he's like,
Oh,
"No,
yeah.
I don't think I can." And then they get in, with him. Initially, they're outside yelling at each other through the windows, and like he's not gonna get a boner. That made total sense. Then they get in though.
It did. I was like, Brandon, it's
Yeah.
Brandon. It like they had to be happy. They had to be having a good time,
In a good space.
having
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
everybody had to
Yeah.
Their
be
friendship
all
made
right.
him get a boner. Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was exceptional. I thought that was a very, very funny moment.
Yeah.
But I also love how that's also like such a young person's mindset too, is like, well, if we all do it, it's solidarity, right? It's if we all send them to everybody, that's the answer, that's the solution, everybody then, right? Or
And it's wild, like that episode in particular, like it's wild and it's like shocking, but it's also like, how is this strangely
right,
heartwarming?
Right. That's a
it's
good point.
kids,
How
Yeah,
did
good
that
point.
work?
it's kids coming
Yeah.
together.
Mhm.
It's it, I think what it is like throughout the whole thing, it so there's like sitcom points that you have to hit. Like there are notes that have to play out sort of through these kind of things, right? And I think if your overarching story is still one of like growth and togetherness, right? If you put it
Mhm.
in that, then it doesn't matter what the wrapping paper is. Then you can tell a
True.
story about a bunch of children sending dick pics to each other
Very true.
and it still be heartwarming because you're hitting a note that's higher, right? Like the goal of the story is something different, I think. And I think that's a big, at least for me personally, I think that's a big selling point for like a lot of the shows that I watch and a lot of the things that I enjoy, because like I look at like a Sausage Party or something like that, right? And I watch it and I don't like it. I kind of actually hate that movie. I think
Yeah,
I
I
think
actually couldn't finish it. I was like disappointed. Totally agree.
yeah, but for me it's the notion of like vulgarity for vulgarity's sake.
Mm.
I'm not
Right.
that into just because you say a swear doesn't mean it's funny. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And
Yes.
I think,
This makes me understand Curse of the Werewolf so much
right?
more.
You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
there's not a lot of swear. We didn't really swear a lot in it. You know what I mean? There's some points. But really that's the thing. Like I don't get offensive for offensive sake. I don't mind offensive if our story is like slightly more elevated. If we're trying to do something
Mm.
else,
Hmm.
and again, it's like that wrapping paper. I think you can tell people a lot of stuff if they look past the wrapping paper and if they're willing to look past the wrapping paper. It's also the same reason why I don't like a lot of and I know this won't be too popular, but it's also why I don't like a lot of like indie stuff that's happening right now, is because there isn't heart in it. It's not a real story.
No, there's no soul in most anything that's
Mm.
like, especially with horror. There's not much of a soul, except for Angie and Paul. They
Yeah.
Sure.
fucking kill it. But
Sure.
like
Yeah.
there's they're few and far between. But you can find filmmakers like Angie and Paul and you
Yeah.
that are making new films that have that soul. But for them, like the majority, they don't. And that, like, this show
It
has a soul.
does.
Yeah. Definitely.
Anything Dino writes has a
Yeah.
soul.
That's a good point. He really does.
But then Dino
Hmm.
himself is such a train wreck. Like,
Right? How does that make sense?
uh,
Wow.
honestly,
Something to be said.
I'll tell you what I think it is. Really, what I think it is. I
Alcohol.
Well, okay, but on a higher level, even not only like alcohol is a catalyst. It's a problem, sure.
For sure.
However, I think it really boils down to a level of insecurity,
Mm. Okay.
more than like anything. And the notion that he's been out here The guy was on the Dana Carvey show. Like he wrote for Conan for a while. Like I mean, Community, all the stuff that he's done on his own, all this animated Moral Laurel, like fucking. He has this huge resume, but then you get him out in front of a crowd, and I think there's a point where he feels like maybe he's put too much like under a spotlight. And he's got to do something. There's an expectation. I do like a milder storytelling Dino when he gets in that mode.
Yeah.
Oh my God. His music is also very good too.
That's true.
Like what his band's name is? It's Everything. Everything I Do Is Wrong, or something like that, or Everything Is Wrong, something like that. But anyways, music's very good. I bought one of their records and I have it sitting in an email somewhere. But let's see. I'll figure that out at some point. But I think it boils down to insecurity. I think he doesn't know what to do in public, so he starts drinking. And then
Sorry about everything.
Sorry about everything. There you go.
I had to pull it up.
Sorry about everything. And I also think that's a fair statement. I think that's but yeah. Insecurity, I think, more than anything else with Dino.
Riddle me this, y'all. Did Tigger have anything to do with this show? His daughter?
Man, that's a good question.
Because I never saw her on credits, but I expected
I'm
to
not
see
familiar
her on
with her.
credits for something. She played Shapey, and her voice is just great.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to look her up more. So
I'm sure it's evolved, and matured, but
I'll have to. Look her up.
I don't see her on anything, and also I was actually kind of shocked with how much she does voice work. Not to really see Britta on here, Britta Phillips. I was really kind of shocked because she's been a voice in everything. I saw her and her old man. Me and Jen went to go back when we were up in the north. I saw Dean and Britta one time, and it was very, very good. It was a really, really good show.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it because Jen's taken me a couple of bands, and they were sit-down bands, and I fell asleep. I did not fall asleep during Dean and Britta, though. It was a very good show. And they did Cheese and Onions, which made me very happy.
Nice.
So, anyway, I was kind of surprised not to see Britta Phillips in there, though. Really and truly. But anyway, there's so much in this show. Like it's I'm looking back through here, and the other one that
yeah, I was gonna say which one's been.
Also.
Why do y'all think that it wasn't successful?
That's a good question. Maybe it just wasn't the right time. Maybe it just wasn't the right time. Is what I was wondering.
You think so? Like maybe it was before its time.
I think it was just
like it wasn't South Park, so we weren't
I think it was
watching it, or it was on Fox, so we weren't watching it. I think it was just like
maybe a little bit like there's some, I don't know, like again, like I know Riverdale is like not whatever, but I think that there's no doubt that like Riverdale is successful, right? Like everyone knows it. Where like I think that if some Archie thing had like latched on, no matter what it was, I feel like it would have been more popular. Just I feel like at that time, and I could be totally wrong. This could just be me talking out of my butt, but like I guess just like no one cared, which stinks because I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to do with where it was. I think a lot of it has to do with Fox, and I think
like the time slot or the Fox itself.
I think with the time slot and with sort of Fox itself. So this is like on the heels of some animation domination stuff, and I think it's at the point in time where people were getting a little fed up with the Seth MacFarlane 2-hour block that was happening during that time. That's really what I think it is. I think it was more people tuning off of Fox in general due to that. And also, like, if we're looking at like 2013, 2014, You're looking at more and more of the advent of streaming services are coming in a lot more popular during that time.
Oh, right.
Also, I think you're seeing a movement more towards internet. I think you're seeing a movement more towards streaming, and honestly, I think had this come out on a different channel, a different platform other than
Mm.
Fox, I think it would have done a lot better.
Like even Adult Swim, you think maybe where like
Yeah.
it might have
Probably,
been
probably,
solid on Adult Swim.
probably, yeah, I would think so.
Liz,
Uh,
what do you think? Do you have a thought other than that of why you think it didn't?
That makes perfect sense. Like, I didn't really think about it, but at that time, excuse me, I'm sick. So it's like
Oh,
coming through now. I think my Sudafed's wearing off. I can't, Adderall, so I can't take much
oh, that
Sudafed.
makes sense.
So what I could take is
Okay.
wearing off.
because
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
like meth,
Um,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Cornholio.
Aw.
But I think it was that makes perfect sense because people were sick of that Seth MacFarlane block. It had gotten like we were beating a dead
It
horse
it had
at that
gotten
time on Fox with
so
animation.
ballooned at one point. At one point, it was literally, I think, I want to say it was Simpsons. I don't even think King of the Hill was still on Sundays at this point, but because it was Simpsons, Family Guy, and then it was the Cleveland Show and American Dad. So Seth MacFarlane had three of the big Sunday night shows, which is
Hmm.
fucking nanners. Like absolutely nanners.
And then there were people like there were so few people that actually knew that the show was coming out. It
Yeah.
wasn't really advertised much from what I
And
remember. Like even on Fox, it was like that was like animation domination stuff, but it wasn't that show in particular wasn't really
yeah,
hyped
and
up.
and I always took the animation domination to be more along the lines of literally the Seth MacFarlane stuff. Like it didn't hit a
Yeah.
radar. Uh but that's the problem with programming. Uh in general. And that's sort of the fall of like big network. And that's always been at least from what I can see, and I'm probably oversimplifying a lot of it. But for me with shit like this, it's always been literally it's always like Occam's razor, right? Like the simplest answer
Mm.
is the answer.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't it do well? Like if you start to look at former programming, like okay, great. So in here in animation domination, when you look at former programming from what it is now, like right now is Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, something called The Great North, which I've never heard of.
I have heard of it, but not watched it. It's like a snow, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the ads.
And then
for
there's
it.
Housebroken and
Right.
Crapopolis. All right.
Hmm.
So there's those shows right now. Former animation domination included King of the Hill, American Dad, something that aired less than a month called Sit Down, Shut Up.
Huh. Okay.
Then the Cleveland Show, Alan Gregory, whatever that was, that only lasted 2 months. Nope. Napoleon Dynamite. There was a-
Oh,
I remember that there was an animated show. I never
it
watched
barely
it.
lasted a month and a half.
oh wow.
Wow.
Then there was a thing called Axe Cop. Axe Cop. All right. That aired alongside High School USA. So Axe Cop, High School USA, something called Bless the Hearts in Duncanville. So without the mainstays of Simpsons, Family Guy, and then like American Dad, Cleveland Show, like it was just like a fucking mill of shit getting churned over in animation domination.
Okay.
You would think at that time, like it was like that could have been written by AI. Like that somebody could have put in fart joke, Seth MacFarlane,
Well,
make fun of
but that's the
this specific minority group, go. And like, that's what you
that's the
got,
South Park bit, though, isn't it? That's the South Park bit. Like the
basically.
South Park bit is it was fucking dolphins and a
That's right. Oh, I
and the
didn't realize
beach
what you were
balls.
saying.
It's
Yes.
dolphins and the beach balls. It's basically
Yes.
AI at this point, as far as that goes. You know,
Oh, okay.
as
I
far
haven't
as like the
gotcha.
randomization of everything, it's basically that. It's absurdity. But anyway, another one that I really enjoyed, and I think it is worth mentioning because again, it showcases in total absurdity a wonderful point being made, and that was Janitor Day. I really
Oh my
love
God.
Janitor Day
Yes. Good point in bringing that one up. I like that one
because
too.
because the idea of looking for the quick fix in his breast milk to boost their intelligence, what they find all along, he was still doing the right thing in studying and teaching. And then what ends up happening, right? They still pass the test without Marsh's breast milk. You know, they had it in them all along because he was still teaching, cheering. I love it. I love it. I,
Yeah. I love even the idea of a janitor day is so funny. Like the first scene of that episode cracked me up. Like it's just such a silly concept to think like the students, like there's an entire day dedicated to the students stepping in and cleaning because they're understaffed or like that. Even that's like a funny bit. You know what I mean? Just like out of context.
Yeah, for
of
sure.
course. But then that's the one also. It actually, and that one does another thing that I really like in sort of traditional sitcoms is when it what is it? It opens and ends in the same spot. They're in the bathroom each time. They're in the toilet, and the principal's in the bathroom overhearing what's being said. And then Miss Kunstler comes out at some point. She goes, "It's pronounced Andrea, right? Like that's
Right.
Isn't that what she says? That's her name, right? Like every time you
Yeah,
think
because
she's
someone calls
gonna-
her Andrea, or like someone calls her Andrea, and she's like, it's pronounced Andrea.
you think it's gonna be the last name, but no, it's something entirely different. I loved it. I thought that was a very good show.
And the last bit in the last, I want to say it was the button of the episode, the last line when they're like, she's gonna piss on me, and she's like, it's pronounced poo, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was good. Yeah, good callback jokes. Those were good.
It's
For sure.
it's very very good. There's also one other name worth mentioning throughout this, and I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about who all was in here. And the notion again of canceling people and canceled celebs. Jay Johnston is one of the officers. He plays Officer Dunphy, and Jay Johnston's been in a lot of Dino stuff. Do you guys know who this is?
No.
If you,
I was gonna look at the IMDb, but
if you look him up,
This is he's Jimmy
yeah,
Pesto.
he's Jimmy.
Yeah, I know about.
He's
I know
Jimmy
about him.
Pesto.
Okay.
He was a cop on the Sarah Silverman show. He was like her sister's boyfriend, if I remember right. And Sarah Silverman show.
We don't even call him Jay Johnston in this house. We call him Jimmy Pesto. And the day that his arrest was announced, and it was like all over social media, my kids came running downstairs, and they're like, "Mom, Jimmy Pesto got arrested. He was part of the race."
Yep.
And I was like, "No way."
Yeah, Jay Johnston is he's a January 6er. He was, yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean,
Jimmy Pesto.
then again, Well, whatever. I'll leave that alone. I might be on a list or two, due to some people I know.
But it makes you like dislike Jimmy
Wait,
Pesto
then
even
you already
more,
did?
too. Yeah, right? You're like, wow, he really was
Yeah.
a bastard.
There were
Or is, was.
there's some people I know that I might be on a list by association. I'll just put it that way. Yeah,
Oh
no,
no.
seriously, I'll tell you stories. When we get together, I'll tell you stories. But regardless of that, yeah, I thought it was worth bringing up. I also love how he always plays police officers. I think that's a weird, yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah, he does look like a police officer, I guess. Yeah.
He looks like a cop.
Poison idea. What makes a person want to be a cop?
Hey, you know what? What makes a person want to
Weird.
play a cop too constantly? That's
What makes a person want to play a cop?
it. I love it. I love it. Um, I don't know. We haven't really gotten into most of sort of the characters, but
Mm.
to say that it's Archie is, I think, to say enough as far as that goes. You've got your classic jock. You've got Archie, his own self, in the form of Marsh, who I do think it's weird that he's weight obsessed.
Yes. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot. I'll just say that. Like yeah. I don't know.
But there are those neurotic teenage kids like
It
that
did kind of
too.
stress me out, I'm not gonna lie.
So
Like I'm not gonna say I'm
Mhm.
triggered because that's extreme. I'm just gonna say I was just like
but it very well could be triggering to folks that, have those issues.
Yeah. Like that's the
For
type of thing
sure.
where I'm like, I think it's worthy of being sensitive to something like that. Like that's like
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, in the first episode, when he's like, "I'm 3 pounds overweight for my what is it, my skinny dance
Right.
pants or whatever," and
Yeah.
then he goes, "So I'm just gonna sit at home and eat whatever it was, like the ice cream or the cake or what."
Eat his cheesecake or
Yep.
something like that.
And he's like,
Yeah.
"So in a way, I guess I will be doing what I want." Like, I there's again this whole like it's not really even backflipping like into it, but it's this line of thought that I find so much fun in like anything that's sort of subversive, right? Like, well, okay, you're gonna gripe publicly about being overweight, so you can't go do the thing, but then you probably don't even really want to do the thing because you'd rather be doing this other thing, so we're still gonna be overweight at the end of it. And I guess we're okay with that. Let's keep going forward. Like, I love it. I love it. Shit like that just tickles me. Um,
Do y'all think like writing in the style of Dino's and stuff like that should come with some sort of warning or should come with some sort of disclaimer, like a jackass
not,
disclaimer?
not like,
You know?
like I think,
You may see some things that could offend you. Watch it.
It definitely there's
There's
definitely a good
Do not do these stunts
I guess
at
there
home.
are a good number of things that I
the
don't know.
the most I would say is the most that we do and the most I think we should do. Because at that point, um, like at that point, all of a sudden you're taking a 21-minute thing and now you're making it 20 minutes 30 because of advertising and now a warning that has to come on ahead of it, if not just
Oh.
like a flat 20. So you're lessening the amount of time that's already given. But on a broader scope, we're already rating things. So again, I would push back. It's always on consumer. I don't think everything has to have this label. And I think because we live in like internet age and we live in a point in time where if I want to find out about the new show coming out or anything, like a synopsis exists. It's ready made for me. Yeah,
Right. Letterboxd is there.
letterbox.
IMDb
Right,
is there.
right. That's
The
true.
the
That's true.
That
corporate
makes sense.
page, the Fox homepage is there.
Mhm.
I can look up if I'm that inclined. Or again, if it shows up and I'm that post Simpson viewer that fell asleep during the first two Seth MacFarlane cartoons, and I wake up as I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I see a bunch of children taking pictures of their dicks and sending it to each other, and it bothers me that much, I turn it off.
Right, right, right.
And I know
Right.
not everybody does that. And I know that, I get that there's this pressure to keep up with what's cool and whatever. And, maybe you watch some things that you wouldn't normally watch pursuing that as a kid. But then again, too, I think at the same time, I don't know how much of that still exists because of how splintered culture has become. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because when I was young, we only had I didn't have cable growing up. Famously did not have cable. Um so it was limited in what I would watch. And if it wasn't on the big three, if it wasn't like Friday night TGIF, I didn't talk about it at the water cooler. Uh that kind of shit. But that's also a point in time too where that scheduled viewing was like a real thing, like
Right.
Yeah.
viewing actually did bring people together. Um,
Everybody was watching their favorite shows at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah, you would get up and at work on Thursday, you would talk about watching Perfect Strangers Wednesday night, you know, uh, that kind of shit. And you don't have that anymore. The closest you would get is like an HBO's Game of Thrones is the
Mm,
closest you would get. And even that, the majority of those conversations would still happen closer to like a Wednesday or a Thursday because of delayed viewing, uh, because of
Right.
like on demand shit. Unless you had that group that was like, we are watching Sunday night. I was always 2 or 3 days behind on Game of Thrones. I'd be the guy in the
mm.
office throwing the hand up. Up, up, up. Not yet. Not yet.
Ugh, the
Up,
red
up,
the
up,
red
up.
wedding was spoiled for me. That'll always like feel a certain way to me.
Oh
I know because I was
no.
like behind too. I forget why, but then like I saw articles about the red wedding, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I know.
Oh.
So
That's
annoying.
it. That's another thing that you have to do now too, is if you do want to be surprised by a thing that you enjoy, you actively have to like
Tune out. Stay off
Right,
the
you're right. Not look
interwebs.
at social media,
It
especially if there's like a movie
sucks.
or something. Yeah, because everyone's gonna talk about it like the next day. Yeah.
the
I think the only thing that we like that I know of that people that I know collectively watch now is
yep.
Showbob,
Oh, right, right,
Last
right. That's a
Dragon.
good point.
Like we all know when those are going to air, and they're about to not be rare, but they're rare now, so we know when it's going to be, and we're all ready. We
Mm,
plan
that's right.
Yep.
Mutant
around
fam.
it to
Hashtag
be
mutant
there.
fam. That's a good hashtag.
So
Hmm.
you can sit there and you can watch together. You can invite people over. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I got a buddy, Zach, who he's done some writing for their Twitter and for a couple of other things. He's done a couple of articles, but we've gone over to his house for it. You know what I mean? And it is one of those things. It's Friday night. This is what we'll be doing. Uh, he
Hmm.
sets a firm expectation. I don't expect you to stay through the second feature.
Oh,
He's like,
okay.
he's like, I do not expect you to stay here through the second feature. You are welcome to, but I do not expect it. If you can make it to the first break, that'd be rad. Good. Love it. Love it. It's a perfect timestamp for me. I don't want to be here until 2 a.m. either. Thank you. Like, but yeah, little things like that, or that might be delayed in their streaming after the fact or when they post up. But it's rarer and rarer. It's really like rarefied air to breathe. Um, I don't, I can't think of really the last time I sat down and I watched like scheduled TV outside of something like that. Like,
Especially not at Fox cartoons.
no.
Right.
You know, except for that Crapopolis,
Oh,
however you pronounce it. We do we like Duncan Trussell and we like Matt
Oh,
Berry.
cool.
So we've tried to tune into a few of those, but you can catch those streaming, so it doesn't really matter.
I've seen Duncan Trussell live a couple of times. Me and Jen went to see a couple of the family hours up in Portland as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. That's how I knew him. And my kids one day, which I don't know if you guys have touched this or not, but if you haven't, I would love to. My kids were watching the
Yup.
Midnight Gospel, and because they love Pendleton, and I heard Duncan Trussell's voice, and I was like, "This is the Damien Eccles episode."
Yes.
Because I could hear Damien Eccles, and I was like, "What are we doing?" So they had me. We watch cartoons at dinner every night, so they had me watch that whole episode that night, and I was like, holy shit, they animated the episode, and they were like, this is how it is every time. They didn't know who Duncan Trussell was. You know, they were watching because they love Pendleton. They love Adventure Time.
Have you watched
But now they
now,
do.
now they're into it. Now they get it. Have you
Uh-huh.
watched the episode of Midnight Gospel where it's him and his mother?
Oh, such a cute
Oh
one.
my God, man. Like that is so heavy though. Like
Oh yeah.
his mom's dying and this is like potentially one of the last few conversations they may have.
Oh
And,
yeah.
That
Yeah.
episode of the podcast is fucking unreal too. Like unreal. Because I think that one goes on for what, like 2 hours almost. And then he
Yeah.
has to truncate it down to like a fucking 30-minute cartoon.
30-minute slot.
Oh,
Such a great
yeah,
show, though.
it is. It's really
Fantastic.
well done. It's really well animated. Yeah, I love Duncan Trussell. He had what's that guy's name? It's Christopher something. He's the guy that writes all all the weird horny books about
Chuck
no,
Tingle?
I wish it was Chuck Tingle. No.
Oh, that guy's
Oh.
Instagram is great. I know who you're talking about.
I love him to death. I'm a buckaroo for life.
Have you listened to the Chuck Tingle podcast where the comedians read his books?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So no, it's Chris Chris Knowles, something like that. He's a frequent guest. He wrote like the one. He writes a lot about like monogamy in the animal kingdom and all of that. But he's like a Northwest guy also, and he was at I think both of the shows that we went to. And normally I can remember his name, but anyway, I'm gonna look it up right quick.
It is. It's Chris
Is it
Knowles.
nice? Yeah. Oh, it's Sex at Dawn. There you go. The prehistoric origins of modern sexuality. That's what he was. That's what he was pimping when we saw him. Chris Knowles. I'm okay with names. I'm not horrible with names. I'll get them. I can't remember the pedophile's name, but Chris Knowles, I got.
Oh my gosh.
Chris Knowles.
Got that one.
Anyway.
Anyway, unless we've really got too much more to get into here, y'all, we're probably at a point to where we should go ahead and just start wrapping this baby down, yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. Are we gonna do the ratings?
Well, I don't have them queued up. I don't have them accessible. If you want to, by all means, make noises. It's fine. This is what I did for the time that James was gone and it was me by myself. I did not have the ratings. I didn't. I told people they could say what they wanted to say. And by damn, if he's sitting at home watching this, you know what? This is what happens when you leave. This is what happens when you put a baby in a corner.
This is what happens.
This is what happens. It's
when you're not here, James.
pure bedlam for.
We can't say we're gonna come. We can't
say it.
make those noises because we just don't want to.
You can say it.
We just can't replicate
I
it.
got a couple of them.
It's not the same.
I can do
Right.
that just because I've watched Zach do it 1,000.
Oh, the ee.
That inside of me.
Oh, that right. Never mind. That's the success. Right.
Success lives inside of
The
me.
E is Derek. My bad. I mixed.
Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, though, yeah. Long story short, does anybody have anything really like pressing you want to add about High School USA before we do start to go ahead and wrap this up?
I do not.
No,
No.
no. Okay, I will. The last thing I'll say really about it is that it is unfortunate that it only lasted 12 episodes.
Isn't it
Is
though?
it though?
I mean, it's I know I said,
Isn't it?
isn't it
Okay.
though? Like it's sad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad. But but it's like Nicole was saying, it was just came out and at the wrong
Yeah.
I think
time.
so.
And like you said, it was on Fox, and that we were sick of Fox cartoons at that time. We were sick of Fox
And
animation.
they were what is that? They were turning it in, they were turning it out, like they just kept dumping everything, dumping.
And it's sad that one just got lost in the mix.
We barely touched on the fact that not only this is so much bigger, but they've painted a world wherein so many other things could have happened. They were a band, a very popular band, particularly in China. We hardly
Oh, right.
we hardly touched
Yeah.
on the fact that that she was adopted, right? That
Oh, right.
Yeah.
because
Yes. And
Sandra was
she's
That's
not.
adopted.
another great Sally Kellerman episode.
She's not actually Chinese. Like that was so silly. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Good stuff.
American, but made to look Chinese because Americans like Chinese babies more.
Right.
Which was
Right.
genius.
Mhm.
But
So silly.
yeah, we didn't talk about the fact that they are the most popular band in China. That they do go on to play a couple of different shows like throughout, but it would have been fun to see that explored a little bit more, right? It would have
For
been fun
sure.
to see in like a season 2 what they would have done further with like Cassandra's parents, what they would have done, if they come back wanting custody or if the Chinese government got involved or like there's so much that could have happened.
Yes. Good point.
There's a lot of room for story in this show. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just say, it's overall a resounding success. Very fun, very good watch. Art style is tremendous. Writing is on point. Love Dino, love Harmontown, love everything. I don't care. I don't care what words he says when he says them. I love them. If you ever get the chance, we talked about this once before too. If you guys ever get the chance to see it, Dino drunk at Comic-Con is
Oh.
one of the greatest internet clips ever. Ever. All right.
I'll look it up. I haven't seen that.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll send
That'll
it
be
to
fun.
you.
Thank you.
Nicole, what do you think? Oh,
So I agree with everything that you
Liz,
just
yeah,
said.
you go ahead. Bring it.
Just 100%. Like success beyond success. And it's a shame that this was cut off in 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that could have been done, and these actors were superb too. Not only is Dino's writing superb, but I mean the combination of everything that was happening with this show was magical, and it's just a damn shame. But it is what it is, and I'm grateful that those 12 episodes exist. And I wish it hadn't ran on Fox during animation domination, but here we are.
Right.
It does feel out of
Yeah.
place. It does, and it does feel out of place
Yeah.
for that format too, for that area.
It was, yeah, but well, the stuff that was playing, with the exception of the Seth MacFarlane vomit,
Mhm.
the stuff that was playing, if you think like Napoleon Dynamite, was that pushing
No.
any boundaries?
Probably not.
You know?
Yeah.
Or was that pushing any humorous boundaries, or like all the stuff that you had mentioned? that were in that block. That was in that block. Like that was not anything
Well,
radical.
at one point we are gonna have to watch Axe Cop because whatever that is,
Okay.
that's a thing
I'm
that I want to
sold.
look into because that.
ACAB, but I'll make an exception for you,
Axe
Ben.
Cop. Come on.
And RoboCop.
Yeah. All right, Nicole, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it so well. I do give this a solid success. I do feel like it's like it stinks because it's such a good concept, and it was well executed. So it does stink that it only had 12 episodes. If people are considering whether to watch this or not, I would recommend watching it. It's really entertaining. What a shame that it's not like, because I hadn't even heard of it before, Ben, you had mentioned it for this episode. So like it's so not in the zeitgeist. It's so sad. Bums me out. But this show is a success. I think people should check it out.
Very good.
It's like nowhere too. It's like on YouTube. It like really is sad. Like it really does bum me out how it's really kind of just like forgotten about.
It's on YouTube, and then I think
On
you can
Prime.
buy it
Yeah.
on like Amazon or Vudu or
Yeah, it
something.
stinks when something is like so, I don't know, something's good and it's kind of just like, I don't know.
Nowhere readily accessible.
Right. What a bummer, but worth checking out somewhere on YouTube or whatever. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, with that, we are going to go ahead and wrap up real quickly, though.
What's next
There
week?
is a point, yes, where we need to figure that out. Even though he's chosen to sit out this week when he easily could have watched a cartoon on his ride home and could have joined us. He had nothing but time. James, I hope you have been entertained. But what I've heard is that next week we're going to be revisiting a holiday classic. We talked about his holiday or his Halloween once here on Totally Toonular, and then again on Fantasy Shed's Eat With Your Eyes recently. These are the wonderful adventures of Garfield. This year we will be talking about the Garfield Thanksgiving special
with grandma.
with Grandma. Does this like this one sticks with me as much as any of the fucking like Peanut shows or any of that stuff? Like it what is it the kids say? It resonates.
I was stoked to see it in our group chat
when he brought it up.
when he
Yeah,
announced.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he can take time to text, but he can't take time to show up. It's really weird. I don't understand.
Oh my
what
God,
it is.
dragging him.
Like-
It's dragging him.
Well, no. How is that a drag when it's a fact? He's sitting at home not doing anything. It's not a drag. That's a reality of the situation. That's what it is. I don't care. He's watching it in real time.
love you,
Yeah,
Jen.
no, you suck my balls. All right, that was another wonderful episode of Totally Toonular. All right, no, James knows I love him. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch.